Recording na po.
Okay, so I'll be I will share screen the PowerPoint po. Wait lang.
First po, John will share screen, but if nawala po siya due to his internet connection, ako na lang po mag-continue.
Okay, go ahead. We only have 30 minutes.
Good day, Mr. I am Dave Andrew De Leon, CEO of Pfizer.
And I'm Julia De Leon, the CMO.
I'm Alexis Cam, the CSO.
I'm John Christian Uy, the CFO for Pfizer.
John, we're not related.
No sir, no sir.
Because people might say I'm biased for your group. Okay.
So for 171 years, Pfizer has already a track record of researching, developing, manufacturing, and delivering innovative medicines and vaccines to the patients in need. We are confident in our ability to safely and effectively deliver the vaccine to the people. Our goal for a long time is to continue to raise the bar and standards in terms of healthcare product quality, protection, awareness, growth, and manufacturing. So as for our COVID-19 vaccine, the Pfizer BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine is the first vaccine approved by our FDA for emergency use by a stringent regulatory authority and the first one cleared for official use here in the Philippines.
So it is an mRNA vaccine. It uses pieces of genetic materials to teach the body into developing defenses against future infection. While these are new, they are still held to the same safety standards as all other types of vaccines in the United States. And as of 2021, scientists are working on mRNA vaccines for HIV, flu, cancer, and other illnesses.
So an important detail po for our negotiation po is the price of our vaccine. Since 2 doses po yung need for our vaccine to be effective, 1 dose would require $20 or approximately 968 pesos in conversion of this day. Then and for 2 doses, it's 1,936. Intervals po for the first dose and the second dose is 21 days or 3 weeks.
So for the side effects, for the local reactions, pain, redness, and swelling after being vaccinated, and for the systemic reactions, we have tiredness, headache, muscle pain, chills, and fever, which are all very common side effects of vaccines. For storage requirements, well, the next slide, please. For the storage requirements, the Pfizer thermal shippers that it will come with can also be used as a temporary stage unit, and it can be filled with dry ice every 5 days up to 30 days of storage. And ultra low freezers can also be used because it is commercially available and it can extend shelf life up to 6 months. The refrigeration units, which are all available in hospitals, can also be used as well because the vaccine may be stored there for 5 days at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius conditions. So once it is there up to 35 days, once thawed, the the vials cannot be refrozen or stored under frozen conditions. For people who can use the vaccine, well, for the Pfizer BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine is authorized and recommended for people 16 years of age and older. But these are the groups that are recommended to seek advice from their healthcare providers before taking the vaccine. So first, we have people with allergies, pregnant and breastfeeding women, people with known medical conditions, children and teens under 16. So in case a pregnant woman, as well as any member of the group mentioned above, has an unavoidable high risk of exposure, then vaccination may be offered after a discussion with their healthcare providers.
is there an upper limit to the age? So the lower limit is 16.
Yes,
Is there a higher limit, an upper limit to the
so
age?
far with the data we have, seniors um up to 70 can still take it. So
Up to 70. Okay.
yes,
So 16 to 70.
yes. Next slide, please.
So as for the distribution, we intend to use bright spaces. Examples are FedEx, United Parcel Services, and DHL planes to travel the vaccines on average of 20 flights per day, together with the thermal shipper. We would want it to be in a just-in-time system so that the frozen vials will be quickly consumed without having it stored for a long time and preventing it from going to waste.
The 20 flights a day, this is from the US to
From the
Philippines or
US
within?
to directly from the US to the Philippines and other countries that we will be catering to.
Okay. How about for within the Philippines? So once you deliver to NAIA, for example, how about distributing it to the different provinces, communities where the vaccines will actually be used?
We can both with DepEd and us, we can collaborate with both public and private logistics companies and have a deal with them on how we will distribute all of the vaccines for the public schools all over the Philippines.
What does POU stand for? Sorry.
Point of use.
Point of use. Okay.
Wait,
Next slide.
sorry. Ayaw next. And okay. So here are some key numbers. Apparently, there was 117 doses that were supposed to be delivered under COVAX that was delayed due to paperwork such as the indemnification. But recently, this indemnification has been agreed on by the President of the Philippines. And earlier, I saw in the news that in the second quarter of 2021, another 2.4 million doses of vaccines are to be expected to arrive in the Philippines through COVAX as well. So for our timeline, in case of a deal to happen, by April 16, we are going to have a contract signing. Then in April 19 to 21 is the submission of our requirements and the procurement of the vaccine. By April 23, our vaccines would arrive here in the Philippines, and then in the 24 we will be giving it to the Department of Education for them to allocate it uh, throughout the public schools. Hello, can you see the screen?
Yes. I'm waiting for you guys to discuss.
Hello, Dave?
So lastly, for the requirements, first of all, there should have a signed contract sheet. Second, a procurement form. Third is
Right.
a copy of the national government agreement to procure the COVID-19 vaccines.
So that's all, sir.
Is this your final slide?
Yes, sir, that's the final part.
Okay, so Dave, Julia, Alexis, Jan, thank you for the presentation. I do have a number of questions. I'll start first. If you are familiar with the requirement of DepEd, do you know how many doses or how many individuals we plan to cover?
No, sir. Yung meron lang po kaming requirement is for Department of Education to allocate the vaccines for the public school teachers. And
So
no
you
numbers
you
po.
don't know the volume.
Yes po, sir. No
Okay.
numbers were given po.
Okay. And you guys didn't look for the numbers also.
Hello?
Did your company look for those numbers? It's a yes or no question. You can say no if you didn't, yes if you did.
Sadly,
No.
sir, we have not
No.
looked for it, sir.
Okay, let me give you the numbers because that's important to our negotiation. So for DepEd, we have anywhere from 800 to 900,000 teaching and non-teaching staff nationwide. When I say nationwide, DepEd has a national office in Pasig, and then we have regional offices in all the regions, 17 regions in the Philippines. We have non-teaching staff in division offices nationwide, more than 200 division offices. And then we have 46,000 public schools. So if you will, or you don't have to present your slides again, but your slide about the timeline. So if we peg it at 900,000 individuals, that's 1.8 million doses. Are you telling me that if I agree to Pfizer today, by next week, you will be able to deliver all 1.8 million doses?
No, sir, not
DepEd?
for nationwide, but we could deliver doses for example, sir, in the NCR region muna, since
Okay.
most of the people po, nandun po yung may maraming cases din.
Right. So let's say let's say because that's my requirement, 1.8 million doses. How soon can we complete the order?
Or more or less second quarter po of 2021.
Okay, that's only until June. April, May, and June. That's the second quarter of a year. So did I understand that correctly? If I order 1.8 million doses of your vaccine, Pfizer can deliver all 1.8 million doses by the end of June at the latest.
Yes, sir. If no, if wala pong makakabagal po, then yes.
But how confident are you with that availability of your vaccines? Are you 100% confident? Are you 50% confident?
We could say, sir, that we could allocate divide those 1.8 million doses by quarter of the years. So 600,000 doses for second quarter, another 600,000 third quarter, and another for the next quarter.
Okay. Let's say that's the situation, right? You also mentioned here that it's 1,936 or about $20 for two doses.
For two doses.
You multiply that by 1.8 million doses. That's a lot of money, right? What are your payment terms? Does DepEd need to pay you 100% upfront? Do I pay it after you complete your delivery? Or ano yung terms ninyo for this deal?
We can have it, sir, as John said nga po, if by batches, so if we can deliver 600 vials, then that's the only time you will be paying us the amount of 600,000 vials. And then for the next batch, that will be the second term payment.
Right. So if I understand that correctly, no down payment, and then I pay you in 3 tranches or 3 installments.
Yes.
So I pay you for the first 600,000 doses once you complete the 600,000.
Yes.
And then I pay you again for the next 600,000 and then the last 600,000 doses. Tama ba?
Yes, like a pay as you order basis.
Okay. Now, my question also, because this is a vaccine that requires ultra low freezer storage, right? Will that be covered by the fee?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
The
sir.
price will
The
be
company will
included.
cover the fee.
You will cover. So
Yes po.
I is it correct? The vaccines will be manufactured in the US.
Yes,
Yes
sir.
po.
Tama, no? So from the US being delivered to NAIA, that's part of what I'm paying, di ba?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
sir. But
Everything is already
From
shouldered by Pfizer.
That's shouldered by Pfizer. From NAIA to all
to
of
the
my
regionals,
yes. Will
sir,
that still be covered by Pfizer?
we may have to talk about it first, sir.
Mm,
We can
okay.
negotiate.
For
So
example,
that's
yes. For
go ahead. Go
example,
ahead.
sir, the Philippines has storage facilities for of pharmaceutical firms like Unilab and Research Institute for Tropical Medicine. We could use those to store the vaccines, and for the price, we can talk about it.
Okay. But I guess my question is, number one, what is covered by your fee? Diba? That's number one. So I'm trying to figure out, is it only until delivery in NAIA?
Yes.
Is it delivery until the regional cold storage facilities? Ano yung hanggang saan tong 1,800
Yung
pesos?
covered for yung all of the fees na covered po is from US to NAIA. Then once na i-disperse na po all throughout the region of the Philippines, it's not care of the
Not
so
Pfizer.
yes
Right.
po.
But that's my main issue or main concern with Pfizer. Because your vaccines require negative 70 degrees Celsius storage, diba? Ultra low freezers. While the country has that capacity, it's limited capacity also. And when I talk about the public school system, that's 46,000 public schools nationwide, including areas in mountainous or island municipalities or barangays. So how can you convince me to still go with Pfizer given the distribution and the logistics challenge of handling a vaccine that requires ultra low freezer storage?
Since ano sir, ayun nga, the storage requirements po, the ultra low freezers, we could prioritize first po yung may mga regions that has that facilities, may ultra low freezers po. Then eventually as time progress naman po, hopefully some regions would have um, ultra low storage freezers po in other regions naman din. Then we could uh, uh, what's the word? I forgot the word. We could reach out to those regions na rin po.
Okay. But that will be at the cost of DepEd. Kumbaga kami
Yes, sir.
ng
As stated po kanina, yung from US to NAIA po. Yun lang po yung
Right.
shoulder ng Pfizer.
Right. Kumbaga diskarte na ng kagawaran kung paano niya gagawin.
Yes po, ng government po mismo.
Right. But do you see the difficulty there for me? For
Yes, sir.
DepEd?
Understandable.
Compared to other brands, compared to Sinovac, Moderna, Gamaleya. Yeah.
Well,
So given
differences
the
naman po,
unique and difficult storage requirements of Pfizer, why should I choose Pfizer over the other available vaccines?
um, uh, uh, so DepEd should choose us Pfizer since not to brag, but based on our data, our vaccine has the highest efficacy rate out of all the rest of the brands, and
Right.
the price is not that super expensive compared to others like Sinovac.
But the price kasi you're saying is just the cost of the doses. But there is a cost to storage, there is a cost to distribution, there is a cost to vaccine administration. Yung actual na pagtuturok ng vaccine, di ba?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Di ba? That's not part of the 1936. Di ba? Okay. My question to you, you mentioned efficacy. Pfizer was one of the first vaccines given emergency use authorization anywhere in the world. But when Pfizer got its EUA in the Philippines, in the US, other countries, we didn't have the kind of variants that we have now. So can you tell me more about how does Pfizer fare against the current variants that are available or that are spreading, not just in the Philippines but in other areas? Is the vaccine still effective against these new variants?
Earlier
Yes,
go Dave.
upon the first dose, sir, there is a 91% efficacy rate. Then upon procuring the second dose, there's already a 95% efficacy rate for the
Right. But
vaccine.
Dave, that's diba? That's phase 3 clinical trial data. That's a clinical trial, phase 3, even phase 3 is only thousands of vaccinees, around 5 to 6 digits. Let me rephrase the question. Do you know how many people in the world or even in the US have already received the Pfizer vaccine? Can you tell me about that experience in actual vaccinations in other countries? Because we haven't vaccinated using Pfizer in the Philippines because of the delay of the delivery from the COVAX facility. So alam nyo ba, ilang million na ba yung nagamit na vaccines, Pfizer vaccines in the world?
Sorry to say, sir, pero we have not
Right.
gathered the data po. Pero
Right.
as Pfizer is located in US, so most of the US residents have received Pfizer or Moderna.
Right. And if we zero in on the US experience, because you're correct, Pfizer has been widely used in the US. Has there been any adverse events or reactions or even deaths, fatalities related to the use of Pfizer vaccines?
I personally have not heard any of these adversities while by using Pfizer our vaccines.
Yes,
How about
aside
the rest of
from
your group? Yeah.
aside from common side effects, sir, we have not heard any casualties naman.
Okay. But in the event that there is an adverse event, let's say even severe illness or even death, what happens? For me, for example, for DepEd, if we say this is the vaccine we will use for our employees, and let's say a teacher falls ill or even dies because of the vaccination, what happens?
Sir, the reason why we recommended the people a while ago, the groups to have them to seek their healthcare providers is so we could not let this happen. But in case this happens, um it's already in the agreement, sir, na
The indemnification agreement, sir.
And in that agreement, who will cover the costs?
The government po, sir, from the indemnification funds.
Okay, all right. So Pfizer has no liability nor support in case there are adverse events.
Yes, sir, from the agreement po in the indemnification.
Right. Okay. The other thing I'd like to ask, so we have covered quality, efficacy, we've covered the supply availability. Actually, let me ask you again about the supply availability. You said 1.8 million until the end of the year, diba? Until December. Given the fact that the US is ramping up its own vaccination, diba, the target of President Biden is to vaccinate all Americans, at least all willing Americans, even before their Independence Day, 4th of July. Will that affect the availability of your supply for countries like the Philippines?
If ever we will run out of supply in the plants, we have already had a agreement through COVAX facility. The donation of different countries, the vaccines that they weren't able to use, they will be sending it out to countries like the Philippines and other developing countries in order to help the global pandemic, to end the global pandemic. So we can
Right.
go through COVAX facility for help.
Yeah, but COVAX is not procurement. COVAX is donation from WHO, UNICEF to the Philippines. My concern is my 900,000 employees. So my question is, can you assure me of the 1.8 million doses within 2021? Or is that still uncertain?
If we are going to, if we both parties will be agreeing, then we can assure you the needed vials.
Right,
Yes,
right.
with that.
Thank you. My last question for you guys. As you might know, there is still high vaccine hesitancy in our population, even including our teaching and non-teaching staff. So even if they are all college graduates, some of them have masters, they are educators themselves. Sila mismo may takot pa rin sila. Will Pfizer help the department in terms of doing a communications campaign to convince people that the vaccines are effective and safe?
Yes, definitely, sir. Educational, we have educational and promotional meetings for every vaccine that we will be distributing. So it would highlight the strengths of the vaccine and how and why it is important for people to have to have to get vaccinated.
So will that be included in your package to me, free of charge?
Yes, sir.
Free of charge.
Yes, we can send a representative to brief and
Uh,
give
and
input.
educate.
As in, you guys can orient 900,000 people and 46,000
We will
schools?
maximize, or we can send, or webinars are also available.
Okay, okay. But what about teachers in far-flung areas? Maybe they don't have good access to internet. How will we reach them with your communications campaign?
I guess, sir, our Pfizer representative will go to regional places, and then they will teach those regional representatives how to educate the people, and maybe they can do it for them po.
Right, right. Okay. That's my last question. Before we end the meeting, do you have any questions for me?
Sir, do you have a budget po for the Department of Education besides the 1.8 million teachers needed?
Right. Well, for the entire government, the government earmarked 82.5 billion pesos for vaccination in 2021. But out of that 82.5 billion pesos, 70 billion will come from international loans. And then the rest, 12.5 billion, is distributed in different line items of the budget. So yes, we do have a budget in the DepEd, much like the rest of government.
So it wouldn't be a problem po on your part to purchase the 1.8 million needed.
For government procurement, we use a parameter called the lowest responsive bid or submission. Lowest meaning pinakamura, responsive meaning you comply with the minimum requirements. And in my case, I'm not just looking at the cost of the doses. I have to look at the total cost of using your brand versus another brand. Diba?
Okay,
So
sir.
you might be 1,936 per person, But if I take into account the cost of storage, the cost of logistics, the cost of distribution, the cost of administering the vaccine, your vaccine might still come up as one of the more expensive ones. That's why I was asking you earlier, ano yung covered ng 1,936? Kasi nai-imagine ko na eh. I haven't done the actual computations, but I imagine this will be quite expensive considering that it's a very specific requirement for ultra-low storage, ultra-low temperature storage.
Yes, sir. Understandable po.
Other questions before we end the meeting?
Naman.
Sir.
Okay, well, if you don't have other questions, Dave, Julia, Alexis, Jan, who is not my relative, maraming salamat for your presentation. And yeah, congratulations.
Thank you,
Sir,
sir.
before we go, sir, can we take a quick photo, sir?
Before the photo, I wanted to breathe first and take this time to really have, engage with Sir Elvin. You had I think one of the longest engagements. So, but we'll make sure that you get some bits and pieces from Elvin and surprise. Francis is also here.
Yes,
He's been
sir.
observing
Yes, sir.
behind this. So very quick feedback. I know that and we can share what your stories are, the ones that you've been telling me kanina, your struggle. Ilang percent na yung laptop mo dyan?
Sorry.
Less than 20 na po, sir.
Sir Elvin, Sir Francis, sorry po sa situation ko. Wala akong Pfizer background and madilim pa rin. Nag-brownout po kasi as in kaninang 7:10. So,
I was going to joke kung brownout sa inyo. Totoo
it
pala.
looks unprofessional po. Sorry po.
No, that's
Actually,
fine.
it is
That's fine.
professional. I would like to commend you na in spite of the
Yeah.
adversity, di ba? Tama, ang lakas ng grit, Francis, no? That you are still able to attend, di ba? Do your responsibility in spite or despite of the situation. So actually, I give more commendation to you on that, Jan. So, Elvin, any comments, and
Right.
for them to appreciate what they've done so far?
Right. I'll make this quick kasi baka mamatayan na ng laptop tong si Jan. So congratulations because the topic is difficult. Pandemic, vaccination, even Pfizer specifically, mRNA vaccine, ultra-low storage. These are all complicated topics. And I know your group took the time to really prepare for it. I also watched your YouTube video. I watch all the YouTube videos of all the groups. You repeated what you presented there. Okay lang naman. But you can be more specific. So ito na yung mga tips ko sa inyo. What I like about what you guys did, when I asked you if you had any questions for me, you actually asked me a good question. Or you asked me 2 good questions that is related to your objective. And again, your objective is to close a deal with DepEd. So I like the fact that you clarified whether are you near or are you able to accomplish that objective or not. Tama yun. Actually, kayo pa lang ang nagtatanong sa akin. Kayo yung pang-apat na grupo. Kayo pa lang ang nagtatanong sa akin. The rest, I guess, natakot or they're just relieved na tapos na, di ba? Which I understand also. But it's good. It's good. Overall, tama rin. Kayo pa lang ang nakatama na indemnification. Tama yun. It's the Philippine government. And I asked that because the main reason why not just Filipinos, but people all over the world remain hesitant about vaccines in general, but also about COVID-19 vaccines in particular, is regarding efficacy and safety. I think for Pfizer, your strength is the fact that Pfizer is probably the most trusted, most recognized, and most trusted of the vaccines that have been used or deployed anywhere in the world. Your disadvantage, however, yung specific na disadvantage ninyo, yung cold storage requirement nyo. Kasi mahal yun. Mahal yun for a country like the Philippines, diba? And totoo yan, hindi ko kayo binobola. I have data on how much cold storage we have nationwide, and it's not a lot. It's not a lot, even if you include government and private sector. So talagang mahirap siyang isipin. At merong peso cost or may equivalent yung arrangement na yon. Yung Pero yung tungkol nga sa safety naman, di ba? Efficacy is one, safety is another. Kaya ako kayo tinatanong, at lahat ng grupo tinatanong pa din. So anong mangyayari kung merong namatay, nagkasakit ng severe illness as a result of the vaccine? So it's good that you guys know the answer. It will be covered by Philippine government. Other things I think you guys should take note of. Hindi nyo, medyo iniwan nyo si Jan nung unang bahagi, nung first half. Parang kung sino pa yung pinakamadilim ang lugar, siya pa yung nagliliwanag sa sagot. So, dapat tulungan nyo siya. Whether that's you, Dave, or Alexis, Julia, dapat magsaluhan kayo. Sa totoong buhay, usually naman talaga it's someone else. Someone is designated as the presenter. But the rest of you are not wallpaper, di ba? Hindi kayo nandyan para lang background. Di ba? And you can be honest with the client, di ba? If you don't know the answer yet, you say, we don't know that answer, but we'll take note and we'll get back to you. Okay lang yun, di ba? And then you can say that, we'll get back to you. Today is a Friday, we'll get back to you Monday, next working day. But the worst thing is not to have an answer.
Yes po, sir.
Yung tumahimik lang kayo lahat, di ba? Tapos si Jan yung pinakakinabahan, kaya siya yung sumagot. So yun, magsaluhan kayo. But I like what you guys did. You should always highlight your strengths, but you should also be aware of your risk, weaknesses. And then when you're asked about it, you can give a credible answer. And then lastly, because it's a negotiation exercise, you should also be aware what will make me say yes. And if you're not aware, it's good that you ask your question. So overall, I think you guys did well considering the complexity of the topic and of the simulation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Francis?
Dave, is this the same Pfizer team that presented last time to you? They're the same Pfizer team that presented to you last time, no? Negotiation. Tama ba?
I'm not sure. Kayo ba yung David Francis? No, it's a different
No,
group.
lang
po,
po
sir.
namin kayo nakasabay, Sir Francis.
Tapos ngayon,
Different group, Francis. Yeah.
Sabihin ko sana, you improve a lot. Kasi just to share with you, may, the first one, yung Pfizer, nag-bribe. Sir, we'll offer you free something.
Ibang grupo yan.
Ibang grupong Pfizer.
Okay. Grabe talaga pag Pfizer, Prof. Dave. Talagang medyo shady.
Sabi siya, oh.
Sorry. Ano lang, in-joke lang yan. Among friends.
In-joke. Yeah, great job, Pfizer team. Actually, if you're given the privilege to carry the brand of Pfizer, and you know very well, tama yung sinabi ni Elvin na kayo yung pinaka-trusted. Alam mo yung parang may feeling ako dapat na parang superior kayo, parang, oh, this is it, this is time to shine. Alam mo yun? It's just that hindi ko na-feel yung energy na passionate kayo, na proud kayo na Pfizer at ako nyo. Kasi most trusted, gamit na kayo ng buong mundo, di ba?
Medyo
Hindi
pressure,
ko
sir.
naman.
Nandito, Sir Dave.
Kinabahan lang po.
Okay. Okay naman. Di ba? So, sorry for the term. Siyempre, pag Pfizer, may konting, may konting angas at yabang versus the other pharma. Tama ba, Dave?
True.
May medyo mayabang ang Pfizer.
Years of, diba? Years of experience, you know that it went through the right process, diba? That's the reason why, in terms of sa marketing, in terms of brand equity, you know, hindi mo naman isi-sale yan ng tigda 2 piso.
Parang yung yabang ng Pfizer, yabang din ng mga binilyan. Parang pantay eh.
But you are confident, diba? You know that it went through the right process. There's research and development. There's funding. Not all pharmaceutical companies has that same capacity. That's why it's what you might call it yabang or pride, but it's actually really building up that confidence because you know you carry a good brand, diba? It's in the DNA, as you can see in our logo, diba? It's in the DNA already. So everybody, when you're in front of the client, you know that you're presenting quality product.
Ay, sorry, Francis, before I forget, I forgot to say this earlier. Point against your group, you did not know your client. Hindi nyo alam ano yung requirement ko. So even yung availability, nag-imbento lang kayo. Even your payment terms, nag-imbento na lang kayo.
That's
Okay naman, di ba? You say, but I don't, actually hindi realistic yung payment terms yun. Walang ganung payment terms sa vaccine. Pero nag-imbento kayo kasi you guys were caught flat-footed eh. So sa totoong buhay, baka na-fire kayo ng sales director nyo. Or si Dave, as CEO, dahil CEO siya, ang mag-fire sa kanya yung chairman niya. Chairperson. Because you have to know me as a client and you have to know what you can deliver realistically. Because you cannot overpromise and not deliver. Masisira yung pangalan nyo, whether Pfizer kayo or another company. So okay na may nasagot kayo, pero sumagot kayo kasi nagtanong ako. Hindi dahil napaghandaan nyo. Yeah. That actually, that's a big, that's a major gap in your preparation.
Yeah, and siguro it doesn't have to be in this forum, Dave. For some of you are businessmen, you don't face a client without knowing your client. Just shoot the gun, di ba? You don't want to be falling into that mistake or else, di ba? You lose a contract. And in this case, we're talking of billions of pesos of contract. So it's not just going there dressed up and with the attitude that yes, you should get us. But if you don't know who your client is, how can you like customize it and get the client? So there's a lot of ways, diba, on how you should prepare. Very important. Thanks, Elvin.
In relation to knowing your client, alam mo nangyari yung story kanina, si Elvin yung naghahanap ng ways for him to be convinced why he should get you. You know what I mean? It's the other way around. So si Elvin is trying to find, ano ba to? Parang alam mo yung gusto niyang pilitin sarili niya. Bakit ko kayo kukunin? It should be your effort, not the other way around. So, kaya nakulangan ako kanina, parang ang nagfa-facilitate ng conversation, si Elvin. You should be the one facilitating, driving the conversation. And how do you drive the conversation? Hindi ko ito napakita kanina eh. So this is called the house strategy. Can you see my slide right now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Ganito lang kasimple. So why Pfizer? Point 1, point 2, point 3. Then back upan mo ng data bawat points. Ganun lang kasimple. Ang nangyari kanina, parang history ng Pfizer. That's it. Tapos maya, si Elvin na yung nagtatanong. Pero to maneuver the conversation and the presentation, hindi kayo yung nasa driver's seat. Alright? Kaya tuloy, minsan, pag hindi kayo nasa driver's seat, there are questions that might be out of your control. But again, talking about questions that may out of it, dapat napaghandaan ninyo. Ngayon, isang challenge nyo, di ba, is really price. Tanong, na-anticipate nyo na ba na price? Kasi anyone would know that Pfizer is really the most expensive because of the storage. And I think it's all over the news. Napaghandaan nyo ba yung tanong na yun? Are you aware of that one?
We're aware, sir, na
Nawala na si Jan.
Yan, lagot kayo. Wala na si Jan. Kailangan yung sumagot.
Sorry, Jan. So aware ba kayo, guys? Kasi it's all over the news, yung storage na yan na challenge. So dapat napaghandaan yun kasi that's a common question. Now, how to answer that one in case? Hindi lang to for Pfizer. What if kayo yung pinakamahal? Highlight your strength. Sometimes you have to use your strength to compensate the weakness. So efficacy. Ngayon, ano ang savings ng efficacy versus sa isang non-effective vaccine? So doon mo na i-compute yung hospitalization rate. So for example, kung hindi siya effective, may hospitalization, may blood clotting, you can use that one to your advantage. Wala kaming blood clotting. And take note, government will shoulder that one. Just imagine if 30% of the population will have this blood clotting. Just take note of the hospitalization, the challenges, the payment, all right? So doon ka na sa mas mahal, pero you know that wala masyadong mahal na adverse effects. So that's how you balance it. But overall, guys, great job in really trying your best to answer all Elvin's difficult question. Great job, Pfizer team.
Okay, I don't know if John can still catch up. My apologies, but you need the group photo. You can probably edit him, put him in na lang in your final post report. Tama ba, Dave?
Opo, sir. Sige po.
Apologies, but yeah, let's
Balik niyo yung pamangkin ko dun sa picture.
Oo nga. Ilagay nyo ihabol nyo siya sa final report. Okay, sige. Who will take the photo?
Ako na po, sir.
Okay, go ahead, Dave.
1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you po.
Okay,
Thank
Eddie,
you.
baka
Okay.
naman
Birthday, parang
Ingat, ingat.
kamag-anak ko si De
Thank you
Leon.
po.
Oo,
Thank
di
you
ba?
po.
Dalawa. Okay, last. Thank